How's it going, mortals? Welcome to Mondays in the Mortal Realms. Joined as Zach here. I'm joined as always by Steven. Today we're talking Harbingers, Dawnbringers, Harbingers, the first in the Dawnbringers series. This book is exciting, but I think a lot of people are more excited about the next ones.
Sure.
Maybe the next ones will be even better, as much as we love this one.
Yeah.
Cool story, you say. You've read it more than I have.
Yes.
You're the story guy. We're gonna chat rules of it a little bit, but we know that's been covered ab nauseum on YouTube.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of rules in here.
There's
to be
not a
fair.
lot of rules.
I mean, there's quite an extensive Path to Glory section.
Yeah,
but we aren't going to talk about that.
we're not Path to Glory people.
No,
we want to be Path to Glory people. We think we will be soon. We want to jump in with Warcom stuff.
Yeah,
a little more quiet this week than last week, but there is some stuff. Thing number one to talk about is this Seraphon box. How are you feeling about this Seraphon box?
I think this is a great box. I think it's 3 units you want, because you don't want to build to the current really horrible build, because it's absolutely going to get nerfed at some point. So building this way, which I think is actually a really strong, viable army, like focusing on the Saurus and what they call the Coalesced.
The Coalesced, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great starting point for a Coalesced force. You want Croxigors, you absolutely want Saurus. The new Saurus are amazing. And this is now the only place, I think, where you can get the Carnosaur. So they kind of got your hands tied. Like, you want a Carnosaur, you're paying the Croxigor tax.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's highly coalesced. I know Brett will be happy. Highly coalesced. And when Steven says the other build, you're, of course, referring to Oops All Mortal Wounds from...
Oops All Mortal Wounds from Croak and Slann, yeah.
Yeah. I think that, this is cool, and you had the same, you walked in here and were talking about, had the same thought I did, which is, well, at least people will be able to buy Carnosaurs again.
Yeah. So I think this will probably retail at, what do we think, like 140? Something around there?
I think it's around there. Chat, let me know if I'm wrong on these prices on these.
I think that's a great price for this box. I think you want all 3 of these units. That's a sizable discount, I think. I think if you're starting Seraphon right now and you didn't get the starter box or the FOMO box, as they're more affectionately called, I think you would pick up 2 of these, and that's a really good starting place for a Coalesced force.
I think Meg and I will need to pick one of these up for our army we're building.
I mean, we're still waiting for Matt Rose to send us the 18 boxes of Croxigors that we asked for on the stream that time.
Come on,
Matt.
Captain Mannerings says... do you think there would be a Skink Vanguard box? There is one out there already.
There's an old one.
Yeah.
I did grab one, actually, before the Seraphon came out, because I was like, I think these are going to disappear off shelves.
Yeah.
Because all of it's good.
I actually was too late. I just bought Skinks.
Oh. I mean, I also bought a box of Skinks as well. But I don't think you'll see one, no. They haven't, even in other armies with much bigger ranges, they haven't done 2 Vanguard boxes. But you might see the Skinks get bundled into some other kind of box, like maybe a Christmas box this year, or... maybe they'll do some, like a Regiment of Renown with Skinks. Some way of buying a bunch of Skinks together. But I don't think you'll see the 2 Vanguard boxes now.
I don't think so. We haven't seen that with, like, Soul Blight or anybody else, right?
No, we haven't.
We haven't even seen a Soul Blight box, have we? New one? No.
Soul Blight?
I
want to say yes, because doesn't it have the new white guy in it, the new White Lord? I thought it had him in the Knights.
Have we seen any... Actually, wait, hold on.
I feel like every army's had if it's had a new book, it's had a Vanguard box. So I think this is quite a delayed one.
Are we actually thinking exact? I was about to say, I feel like there's never been. Is this actually the first Vanguard box? Am I crazy?
No,
or are you crazy?
There's loads of these.
But new, like with the red and its new edition.
Yeah,
really?
there's loads of them.
Because okay, all right.
They made the shift sort of like 6 to 8 months into 3rd edition, and then they've been redoing them slowly.
I'm getting the stacks at here as well, Captain Mannerings. I skipped it because yours was just so timely and timed appropriately for what we're talking about. Okay. Stacks asking, can we all just agree that I hate that GW let orders steal the Manticore when our Manticore is so old?
Is this the Chaos one?
He's talking, of course, about the Chaos Manticore, and wow, that model is...
Just get the new one and convert it. It's amazing.
The new one is amazing.
It's amazing.
The old one is god ugly.
Yeah.
Though. Wow, is that
I would
model.
see this as a gift for also Chaos players. So like, great, a new Manticore that we didn't even ask for. Fantastic.
Yeah, I saw that model starting a Slaves to D army, and wow, you just, and it's not good.
No.
And they knew it. They're like, we do not want to see this thing on the tabletop. If we show up, and Matt Rose shows up, and you're playing that thing, he's clearing.
It's
your
also a
armies.
strange mission because they've redone all the cultists with all the different Warcry warbands. They did the whole big redo of the range for the new Slaves to Darkness release. It's weird that the Manticore got overlooked. Like, just
So
a bit
bad.
strange.
So bad.
Unless maybe the surprise is that Manticore is actually a dual kit and you can build a Chaos one.
That'd be cool. But
Imagine that, right?
That'd be interesting. The other big thing that seems to have come out is the Warcry starter box, the new Warcry starter box. I'm sorry I didn't get closer up pictures. It's Soulblight versus Stormcast. And it comes. It's the little vampire squad.
This is 2 Shadespire warbands. Repackaged as a Warcry.
Right.
starter
Neither are
box.
new. Also, I don't actually have pictures of them, but they also did re-release the on their own the Flesh Eater Courts one. And
Yes.
the Stormcast one.
Yes.
An additional Stormcast one.
Yeah.
Right now, Warcry, okay, popular, but people were loving AOS. I don't hear a lot of Warcry buzz. Do you hear a lot of Warcry buzz, Steven? I think I don't.
Not really. I know people play it and people enjoy it, but I think it's very much a kitchen table game. I think people are playing it at home. It's a really good casual, like, sort of skirmish game. I know actually, Game Castle in Redwood, they're talking about starting up. They've been toying with either a Mordheim or a Warcry League, and I think they're currently debating that still.
Oh, right. I saw this.
Yeah,
this
so
message.
I think there is people out there playing. Like, I definitely think there's an audience for AOS based skirmish games, but and it is good. I've played the new edition and I played the old edition. It's very fun game.
It's fun. It's a fun game.
I'm not sure about this product though. I don't like that these are 2 repackaged Shadespire warbands.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, it's kind of weird how much Stormcast Warcry came out in a week when nobody likes either of those things too much right now. That's not true. People like Warcry, but Stormcast.
It is cheaper point of entry though. That is the one thing going for it. If you want to get into it and you don't just want to buy a warband, you want to actually have a 2-player thing. This is a much better value proposition than the big Warcry boxes, which are fairly expensive.
But they come with a lot more terrain.
Oh yeah,
and
you
that's
get
really why people
loads
are
in
buying
those boxes. Yeah.
I think I would say that I have to imagine people are buying these because they are younger, and this is we live out here next to Los Gatos. It's no secret that I think in the U.S. anyway, Warhammer is going into places where I think people have that kind of expendable income.
Yes.
And you're an 8-year-old, 10-year-old kid, and you walk in that store on a Sunday morning with your mom, and you're like, "Can I have this?" That Warcry box is not bad.
100%.
Yeah.
Same with the starter boxes they did for AOS Third. Same
Yeah.
with the starter boxes they've done for 10th edition now. Like you always need those barrier to entries that are low.
Yeah.
Cost entries, which give you a little taste of what's coming. In the hobby. So yeah, I think it's a great. Again, I don't think the product is for like the likes of us or people who already play Warcry. I think it very much is this is a star. I think the only exception will be if you missed out on grabbing that amazing vampire warband for Shadespire, those 4 models. Some of the nicest vampire sculpts ever. And they're in this box.
I know.
So,
I haven't even tried to bait Meg into getting this box because I'm not super interested in it. Although, the Stormcast are there. I don't know. It could be cool.
Yeah, it's the Zandire's Truth Seekers one.
Yeah,
they're quite nice sculpts. They're the newer armor and
The
stuff.
thing that's weird, I do have to say, for all of the things we always, the whole AOS community, we're always praising the design team and Matt Rose. We feel like we're in a golden age. I continue to be a little shocked at how the Warcry bands are often just not even close to being good. And not even just the Warcry bands, but the what's the other game? The
Shadespire.
Shades.
Or whatever it's actually called. Warhammer Underworlds, I think is like the parent title.
Yeah, and those are often even worse. Outside of the Daughters of Cain one, which I don't know why they got so lucky.
The other ones
True
that seem
Blades
like
are okay.
real play are the Chaos. Like the
the Chaos.
The Chaos
yeah,
ones.
right.
There's a genuine list around them.
Right.
They're it. That's it though.
That's it. So these little groups, I should rephrase this. The Warcry band's not awful. These little the little underworlds things. It seems like a missed opportunity, but
yeah, I mean, I think I've always said this, and I will talk anyone's ear off about this, is the whole underworlds thing is what they need to do is make the hero a scroll in the book, and forget the guys that come with him, forget the unit, the crappy little unit.
don't charge this.
Yeah, just have the guys, have them have unique rules, make them interesting on foot heroes for your armies, and I think then we would see genuine play out of them. Maybe. The fact that you have to pay the tax of bringing the band with him or her, and then they all have different weapons, so using them is a nightmare because you got to look at like 4 different weapon profiles for one unit.
Yeah.
Although
and often they're not that good.
No,
hit on 3, wound on 4.
They'll have like 1 attack each.
Yeah.
I think the only exception though that I can think of is the Bone Reaper one is quite good. I've played against it a few times in AOS.
What's his name?
Yeah, he's like the big wizard. He's like a big
cool.
construct. He's awesome.
He's so cool.
That band is actually quite good.
Yeah.
They're actually quite a good unit.
Yeah. So that cool stuff. I'm excited to see what's coming out in the future, because we know there's a lot of releases. I'm really excited about when this second book is coming out, and what's going to be in these books. Because 4 new models for 4 new factions is pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's going to be like that ongoing.
And early. Like the fact that we've already got this book and it's not even August, and let's assume that patterns continue and AOS 4 edition will come out next June.
Mm-hmm.
This means we've got a long time with all the armies, all these books, the storyline.
Let me ask you this. Do you think every army is going to get a model out of Dawnbringers?
Ooh. Every army, no. Most armies, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think every single one, though, because I think that's, what was the last count, 21?
Well,
like
it's funny. There's you're gonna get.
There's so many.
This one kind of doesn't mean the pattern will keep up. Had 1 from each Grand Alliance.
Right.
They can only do that 4 times.
Yes.
And then you run out of death and destruction.
And the previous series, the Broken Realms books, they didn't follow the same pattern each book. They were quite different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think every army will get a new model, but I think a lot will.
Is this where we're gonna see? Is this where we're gonna see invocations popping out? Not invocations, incarnates.
Yeah, I think within the book series, within the Dawnbringers story arc, yes, I think we'll see 1 to 2 more incarnates.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think this probably would have been, if we were in a second year of AOS, not like its third, or I guess not in its final year, I think this would have been another 1 book incarnate some models, as like they did last summer.
Like Thondia.
Like Thondia, yeah. But because it's wrapping up, I think they've made it more of a meal, and there's going to be multiple of them. But I think we'll get an equivalent.
Let's talk about this book. What is a Dawnbringer?
Well, a Dawnbringer, I mean, at an individual level, it's someone who is joining a crusade to go out into the mortal realms and create new settlements that worship Sigmar. To spread order.
It's really cities. It's really like, we think it's mostly tied with cities of Sigmar, right?
Yes, it's I guess it's colonization efforts. There's a good line in here that's like they wanna burn the shadows from every corner of the realm with the light. Like they're taking Sigmar's civilization and notion of cities and order, and they wanna tame the realms to make them all part of order.
Yeah.
So bring order to chaos, essentially.
Now, it's going to be story time with Steven. You're going to talk us through a little bit of the story here.
Yep.
Now, I have, Steven, this nice camera lined up here. Actually, got to turn this guy on.
Okay.
Got to turn it on pre-stream. And so you can show us pictures, and we can look at all the pictures together. Okay. But I want to show the one picture I was looking at, right there.
This
right
one?
There, that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want to chat and say, did we get a little sneak peek of terrain here with this guy? Any second now. There it is. Did we get a little terrain sneak peek here with this thing? It shows up a few times in the book. It looks highly modular, is why I think that. You're not so sure.
No, because the studio team often make custom terrain for these sort of display pictures and army pictures. But it does look like the set, you got it up there, the Realmscape expansion set that
that's
came out.
right. That's what you were saying.
Where it was like, it was the start of a new settlement, a Dawnbringer settlement. So this could be a new modular terrain set they're going to bring out at some point, which is like those completed settlements that you can build your own boards of like, this is a new settlement for Cities of Sigmar. We talked about how, and I forget the creator's name, but they've recently released a set of really awesome modular terrain for Osgiliath for Lord of the Rings battle game.
Super cool. Super cool terrain, yeah.
Yeah, and they interviewed the designer of that and his whole process of creating the modularity of it, and it was really, really good, and it's super impressive terrain. I wonder if this is the equivalent for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, these look like solid buildings. I'm very curious to see. Yeah, are these just like, oh, we're the Sigmar design team and we need to make stuff that fills the background for photography, or is this actually a kit that's going to come out? Yeah. And I don't know. It's
Could
exciting.
be a bit of both.
It's exciting, yeah. Now, look, before we go further into talking a little bit about the lore of this book, I do want to bring up a couple ads because they're more about Warcry. Stack says, the only thing I don't really like about Warcry, other than anything related to strength and toughness, it's actually goes back to 40k, right?
It does,
strength versus toughness.
Yeah.
Is the way they built initiative. And I'm thinking, I have not played for months. I feel like I remember initiative being kind of interesting. I played a few games with Brett. But I can't remember exactly how it works.
I'm trying to think now.
Stacks, fill us in briefly if you can. Captain Mannering says, I hope I want duplicates of the warbands for kit bashing and the terrain I really want. Underworlds being used is interesting, and I hope for more integration of the products. Yeah, same. I'd like to see.
I mean, there's lots of great sculpts in Underworlds that you just can't get anymore because once they're done, they kind of never show up again.
Like Curse City stuff.
Yeah, so finding ways to like repackage those models and reintroduce them, I think, is always great. I'll never be mad that they make things available.
Captain Mannings also says, "What do you think about Incarnates and giving the seeming release schedule? I think we might be getting one soon." We did chat this a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure.
I think we're getting at least one.
They mentioned like an ice one and earth one in the new General's Handbook.
So I'd be very surprised if we didn't get multiple over the course of the next 6 months with these books.
Yeah, I think it's an avenue that they need to either drop, which I would not like to see, or they need to. You want to see the Crown Spine just become a normal monster, maybe with like one special rule.
I think if they've all got very different designs and different play styles, I think, okay, it's an interesting space to explore.
They need to go one way or the other.
Yeah, but if they're all just like... Because the Crown Spine thing is just how unkillable he is. Makes him very difficult for some armies, and other... They're good at showcasing and filling in gaps in weaknesses within armies. Like Tzeentch run it because Tzeentch don't really have anything that can hit as hard or is as survivable, so it fills a good gap.
Before in the new book, Gloomspite were running it, right? That's like where you saw.
Nighthaunt were running it a lot. Yeah,
Nighthaunt should be running it still.
Yeah.
I feel like how do you feel about like a 10 wound incarnate?
Yeah,
if it uses the same rules, right? 4 up, 10 wounds.
Yeah, I think just as long as they don't all have the funky rule about the wounds mechanic where they either are dead or they fully heal.
I think they will.
See, that I don't know how I feel about that.
That I feel like is not going away.
Interesting.
Oh no, they don't have wounds, right?
They don't have wounds.
The 18.
Well, no, technically they do have wounds. It does still track wounds, but they ignore them and they go away.
I can't remember. Is the number 18 tied to the incarnate rule, or is that unique to the Crown Spine?
It's just a special rule. It doesn't have a wounds characteristic. It has this special
rule. But
rule.
Is that the generic incarnate rule, or is that the Crown Spine? There's a Crown Spine. I think
that's a Crown Spine rule.
Okay, so you could maybe have an incarnate that has less than 18 wounds.
You could even have units of incarnates if they do smaller ones, or you could have named one like hero ones. You could do I think it's a very interesting design space.
Yeah,
where everyone has access to it and they more represent the energies of the realm that we're fighting in. Because I think that does need to be more present in the game. Like that feeling of each realm is so very different, and you don't really get a sense of where you're fighting in the game.
But the incarnates do help with that.
I think they do. Yeah. I think exploring that space.
The rumor that the next one might be in what's the fire one called? Akshi. If the obviously we want to see like a cool fire one. That would.
Yeah, and the model. I mean, the Crown Spine is a gorgeous model. Like the fact that they can do such cool things with negative space in a model now is a mind blowing. So I think I'm very excited to see them. I just hope they don't dominate tables.
The Crown Spine came out and hit the meta.
It was. I mean, they had to price adjust it at least twice.
Yeah. Okay, talk to us about this book. Talk to us. What do you love? Sum up the story for us. What happens?
All right. So this book, the first one, again, it's the first part of the story.
Yeah.
So it is very much setting the groundwork. There's no massive revelations in this book. There's no like, oops, there's a new god or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's very much setting the stage. So really, the book focuses on two realms, Akshi and Gairan, which is the realm of life and the realm of fire. So they're the two places, and the one city it wants to focus on is Hallowhall. I think it's called Hallowhall?
Hammerhall? Or
Hammerhall?
Hammerhall?
Hammerhall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that because that city is uniquely across two realms. Half of it is in Gairan, half of it is in Akshi.
Right.
And then really the story centers around those two realms, the city, the two different halves of the city, but then also these two different Dawnbringer crusades that are going to leave from the cities.
Yeah.
So it's talking about how there's starting to become friction within the order. You know, people are out for their own gain. There's greed. There's grudges, and order isn't maybe as allied as it might seem on the outside. And so Nurgle start to take advantage of this by creating a new plague. Mm-hmm. Shocking, I know. Yeah. Imagine that.
The old playbook.
Yeah. To basically make everyone hate their jobs.
Yeah, which is really so timely.
Yeah,
very timely.
Yeah,
right now,
this
right?
book definitely has been influenced by the pandemic, where everyone who had normal jobs realized that normal jobs sucked.
It didn't even. Oh my god! Kind of wildly didn't even quite put together. It was a plague that made people hate their jobs.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're right.
So the plague that made people hate their jobs
wild.
Starts to create all this dissent within the cities. Gosh. People are not going to work. Yeah. They're not doing anything. Like, this is a big problem. Like, you know, soldiers aren't following orders. Blacksmiths aren't turning up to build weapons. There's this whole problem.
Oh my god.
And it's caused by this plague that Nurgle sends, and he's trying to weaken Order's hold on Gairan so that you know Nurgle's forces can complete their conquest of it. But Lariel sees this, the god of the Sylvaneth. She sees this happening, and she's like, I know, I'll counteract the plague with a magic rain. Yeah. So she creates this cool rain that makes all the crops grow, but then people being people, they start fighting over they have these little
it also heals the plague, right?
Yes, it doesn't make it go away. It just like subdues the effects.
Yeah, people want to go to work a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's a band-aid on this problem.
Yeah.
So it makes everyone want to go back to work.
Okay.
But it also makes life flourish, so it starts to heal and counteract Nurgle's influence on the realm. But then what happens is all the farmers and merchants that then started to rely on this sort of like healing rain that makes the crops really fertile, they start fighting amongst themselves over who gets to control the territory that the clouds are over. So they make this problem worse.
Right.
And so that's going on in Gairan, and this plague is actually starting to seep through the portal into Akshi and affecting it, but people in Akshi are far more durable and resilient because they live in this really barren, fiery, dangerous realm. So they're just doing the British thing of keeping calm and carrying on. Yeah. They're just like, we're just gonna accept that the plague is a thing, but just push through it.
Yeah. Alario Cerases. Alario should have made a work from home spell.
Yeah, exactly. So the way Nurgle tries to stop Alariel's assistance in this is he sends out the Harbingers, which is what the book is named after, which are 7 of these horsemen of the apocalypse, I guess. And each of them, they are the ones that actually spread this lethargy disease, this work from home plague. And they go around and they start just orchestrating it directly. They're going to towns with forces and like killing people and like spreading the plague manually to try and counteract Alariel's healing effects. And then the Bone Reapers, the Flesh Eater Courts show up. So the Flesh Eater Courts, who think they're all noble knights and warriors, they'll show up.
Real quick, this is always where Sigmar stories... People are often will point out that Sigmar lore is not as deep as 40k lore. They're right. It's not as new, right? It's much more new. It hasn't had... Yeah. But I do always love when there's your classic chaos, or this is what I do like about Sigmar lore. There's and I guess I like this about 40k lore when Xenos get involved, but there's this classic order versus chaos thing going on, and then death or destruction get involved, and it's always like totally screwed up because they always like kind of want to take a side, and they're always so demented about it. Yeah. And if it's death, they always have their own ridiculous agenda.
Yeah.
And if it's destruction, they also have their own agenda, which is completely pointless. It's like just destroy.
They're actually more chaos than chaos.
Almost for sure.
Chaos are more anti-order.
Chaos are they're hipster chaos.
Yeah. They want everyone to be under their order, not the other guy's order.
Right.
Destruction truly just wants absolute chaos.
Yeah, literally
they want just bedlam for days.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and if you don't know what I love about this,
this is great art.
Yeah, this is great art. So yeah, the Gyron side of the fiction is about the Nurgle forces and the Flesh Eater Courts. So the Flesh Eater Courts show up. Well, no, I guess it's the other way around. The Harbingers are going town to town, spreading their plague, and they get to but they have this like cursing magic where it's like there's these omens of apocalypse, and they spread these, and it's all about this ritual to allow the plague to take root, and they have to follow this very specific ritual of doom and naysaying for it to actually work. So there has to be people there to be influenced by the doom and gloom, but they keep going to these towns and finding that no one's there.
Right.
So then eventually they come across this army, which to them looks like this like, covering the hill of the horizon, like noble knights and armor and glistening banners and spearmen, like all assembled to defeat the order, the forces of chaos.
Yeah.
And then the moonlight hits them, and they realize it's just a bunch of shambling horrors who think that they're knights.
It's these.
It's the Flesh Eater Courts.
Jabronis here, yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't know the fiction of the Flesh Eater Courts, their whole deal is they're driven insane by Nagash's curse, and they think that they're still noble warriors and knightly orders.
Yeah.
But really, they're flesh-eating cannibals.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that. So they go to stop. They are now the heralds. They have these Morrow Scroll heralds, who are messengers of someone called the Summer King. So
creepy.
Yeah.
A little creepy.
And
right?
GW love doing this.
They do.
Before they reveal a big character, they like to give them a pretend nickname.
Yeah.
So this is probably the Mortarch of all of the Flesh Eater Courts from way back in Fantasy Battle Lore.
Fun.
I forget his name.
Do you think
Arabesh, something like that. I forget his name.
Do you think we'll be seeing him?
Yes, I think he's 100% going to be a model. Yeah. When they redo this faction, they'll get like they did with Nighthorn. Like they got Lady Alinda and they got the Craven King.
Do you think this is a faction that comes out in 4th ed box set?
No, I think these are before.
You think they're?
I think they're before. Okay.
Yeah. A year would be a long time.
It would be a long time. Yeah.
But Flesh Eater Court players have dealt with it for a while.
They have. Yeah. Their book is like I think 5-6 years old now.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's old. So yeah, I think these are the heralds of the first Ghoul King from way back in the Fantasy Battle days, because all the other Mortarchs came across. So I think he's always been here, just hiding.
Yeah.
So they come to basically intercept the Nurgle forces who are spreading this plague because they see it as they're against this. They don't want this. They like their people who they eat not being plagued. I guess it makes them taste better. So they come to intervene. And what I love about this battle that they have is the herald, the main herald of the book, meets Lord, I think what's his name, Jarinar or something. Let me find his name.
Oh wait, that's a cool picture. Go back to that one for a second. That is the actual.
That's the herald. Yeah.
That's the herald, the Nurgle guy. And he is. I mean, it's an amazing model, and the artwork, of course, also super cool. Yes, I know the name you're talking about. Something with a J.
It's in the name of his thing, his little
his
regiment of renown, Geryon. Yeah. Lord Geryon. So he thinks he's this noble knight, and he fights this Harbinger 1-on-1, and the Harbinger pulls out his dagger that is essentially the thing that Nurgle blessed him with that spreads the plague, and he fires magic through it directly at Geryon, and the effect it has when he gets the plague is it makes the illusion of their madness fall away. So all the Flesh Eater Courts suddenly realize that they aren't in fact knights and noble warriors. They're all cannibals. That's very sad. They all start killing. They all start killing themselves.
That's very sad.
Yeah, they start killing each other and killing themselves. And then Geryon, he does has a MacGuffin. He pulls out a bone. He snaps the bone over his head. It creates this blinding light of death magic, and all of the Nurgle forces feel the madness that the Flesh Eater Courts feel. So they start going insane, and all of the ghouls become like rampant and energized with this death energy. So they tear the Nurgle forces to pieces. But it's a really interesting back and forth that they basically make one side take away their madness and make them realize what they are, and then they make them feel their madness.
Don't you love how these characters have these things all along?
Yeah, and then you read their scrolls and they've got nothing. They got nothing. No magic daggers, no bones that make the army go amazing.
Right.
So that's the Gairan side. So that ends with the forces of order fighting themselves out in the waste, and the leaders of Hammerhall basically deciding, okay, this is the time. We're going to go out. We're going to build a big Dawnbringer crusade, and we're going to go out into Gairan, and we're going to use the sort of advantage that Alariel has given us to push out and really take settlements and build up the new settlements and counteract the effects of Nurgle. Oh, actually, one thing I will say about the Gairan stuff is the general of Hammerhall pulls all of the forces back to the city, anticipating a big attack, and leaves all the settlement defences. And the Stormcast are mad about this, so they go down to try and protect the settlements and get their asses kicked.
Which is...
Because they're Stormcast.
Which I was going to say,
and I love that the lore is now acknowledging that Stormcast suck.
It tracks with the game,
Yeah,
right?
it tracks. Yeah. So I love that little detail. Like, yeah, the Stormcast tried to hold the line and just failed. Good job, Stormcast.
Yep.
So then we go to the Akshi side. So on the Akshi side, the difference is on Akshi, because the surface is so volatile, the cities, the Dawnbringer Crusades and the cities that have now been propped up in the realm are actually underground.
Yes.
Because the surfaces are volatile.
Yes.
And because they build settlements underground, they obviously disturb Skaven and Gloomspite Gates and Trogs, because they've all lived under there quite happily.
Right.
And now people are building cities underground and they're not happy about it. So they go and fight them. They choose to attack. The story centers around the named. What is this? What are these new things called?
Exile.
No, not him. The Git guy.
Oh,
Rabble
Rouser.
Rouser. Focuses around one named Rabble Rouser, who basically is just really arrogant and thinks he's the best and shouts about it, and everyone listens because they're all really impressed with his self-confidence.
Because they're goblins also?
Yeah, they're just really impressed that he's so confident. So he leads an attack on one of these underground
settlements. That's basically Scragrot.
Yeah, I mean, Scragrot's just the best at it.
Yeah.
So I guess these are all Scragrot impersonators now.
Yeah.
So they attack a glass-making settlement underground, like one that was built by a bunch of glassmiths, and they've been building, doing all this glass work.
These are men, not fire slayers?
Yeah, just men. Yeah, just men.
At this point, right.
Okay. Cities of Sigmar, and they're glassmiths who have been sending glass back to actually Hammerhall, because they've been transporting the water across from Gairan, and they needed bottles to put it into.
Okay.
So they've been bringing the healing waters over from
Gairan.
the
rain.
The rain.
Yeah.
But obviously, to do this, they built a tunnel system all the way back to Hammerhall. So when the Gits arrive and destroy that settlement, they realise they've now got a direct route to Hammerhall.
Mm-hmm.
So they start assembling forces to go and basically tunnel under Hammerhall and attack it. Meanwhile, the dwarf guy, what are they called?
The Exile.
Grimhold Exile?
Grimhold Exile,
yeah. So the Grimhold Exile that the story focuses around. Again, they give him a name. I don't know what it is. He goes to his settlement, his Fire Slayer base. What do they call them? Holds. That gets destroyed, but his settlement made a binding pact with Hammerhall to always be allies. So he learns about what's happening.
He's just by himself.
Yeah, he's just on his own.
Yeah.
He assembles a bit of a ragtag group with him, to help him get there. But yeah, he gets to Hammerhall and he goes to warn them that the Trogs are coming and they're underground and they're going to pop up. And Hammerhall just ignore him. They're just like, meh, whatever.
You're shirtless dwarves.
Yeah, we don't care. And then surprisingly enough, the attack happens.
Mm-hmm.
They emerge in the industrial district. They start burning the whole place down. Again, they're not going to take the city. They're just causing as much chaos and destruction as possible.
Yep.
They're just trying to smash everything.
Yep.
They're like, glass makes a fun sound when it breaks.
Yeah.
Let's break all the glass.
Yeah.
So they set the industrial district of Akshi on fire, which is really important because they've been secretly preparing for their own Dawnbringer crusade, and they've been assembling weapons and armor and gunpowder and everything. They've been on this massive industry drive. So they need this district. So they ask the Fire Slayers if they will help.
Yeah.
Even though the Fire Slayers should say no, the Ironhold character, the exile, he stick to his oath, and he leads the dwarves into the burning district to fight off the goblin Trog horde, and he's getting wounded and damaged. There's so many Trogs and goblins, and he's trying to get to the Rabble Rouser, but he can't. He's getting his fingers bitten off and all sorts. It's really grim. He's getting really hurt, and then just as he's about to die, his hammers ignite in fire, and he goes full Super Saiyan and smashes everything around him, and then he smashes his hammers together and it makes this big fire shockwave that like kills all the goblins and scorches everything and sets fire to the rabble rouser. So, you know, they save the day, but a bunch of dwarves die, and then he basically says to the Hammerhall people who will now listen to him because of his bravery that they need to fortify the city. There's bigger hordes out there, more is coming, they need to protect the city.
Yeah.
And they obviously don't listen to that. They're like, no, this is the perfect time to go out of the walls and go on a big Dawnbringer crusade. So they do that. So the story ends with the two cities sending out their two Dawnbringer crusades out into the wilds of Garen and Akshi, and that is where the story comes to a close.
Do you think Hammerhall this is gonna be the end of Hammerhall? Do you think we'll see like a collapse or something?
No, I don't know. Hammerhall is like one of the most important cities in Sigmar.
I know, but Cadia fell.
Cadia did fall. I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I think they've left it too open for an obvious, like, it would get attacked and destroyed. I like what they did with Kragnos, like that, where he destroyed the Celestial Vindicator central city in the Realm of Beasts. And that felt earned, and it felt like a good payoff, because that's where he woke up, and he went and smashed. I don't know where the story's going to go, or if it's even going to stay in these realms. So it'd be hard to know if Hammerhall is going to be the center of the whole story, or whether we're going to move elsewhere.
We don't really have, like, this is book one, like you said. We don't really have, like, a main villain.
No.
We could say Nurgle, but that's, of course,
Chaos and Destruction.
It's got to be less than Nurgle, right? We don't really have a main villain. I like, Saray brought up that this guy's name might be, Abarash?
Abarash, yes.
Abarash?
That was
the
one who first fell to the madness.
Maybe Abarash shows up, that'd be cool. But we don't, and he could be, Death is weird, right? Death can kind of like, sometimes Death is on the side of, it's been on the side of Order. I mean, that's how Sigmar started, right? The whole thing started. So
I think the Summer King is either a brand new character to replace Abarash, or it will be A-Ring.
So maybe he shows up, but we don't really have like a main villain yet, and I don't even feel like we really have a main good guy. Now, let me ask you this, protagonist. Let me ask you this: is this how tied in with the city's release do you expect this to be?
I think this is all just flavor to stir the imagination of what the city's release is going to be about. This notion that the cities send forth these big crusades to go and tame the wilds. I think, obviously, I mean, this is called the Dawnbringers series. I think it's inherently tied into cities. You know, because originally the book was going to be called Dawnbringer Crusade, and then they at some point pivoted to change it to Cities of Sigmar again, the book.
Do you think that we will see, speaking of Flesh Eater Courts, because Flesh Eater Courts and Cities are the two factions that have not been updated, right?
Right.
We're expecting books for both of them. And and we're expecting them to be center in this story. Because I bring it up because in the past, with some of these narrative books, factions actually can fall by the wayside as it goes on. Like, maybe I don't expect to see Gloomspike gets in this book much more. That might have been their role.
No, that could have totally been their role. Right. But I think, you know, I think definitely Flesh Eater Courts are going to play a big role. I think if you look at the releases and how often they've been mentioned and involved, I think there's no coincidence that they've been
increasing things, right? It started with that character.
Yeah, so I think the Summer King, whoever that is, will play a pivotal role in this storyline. I think cities, obviously, I think all of these storylines are going to focus around the caravans and the crusades going out and encountering new things and waking new threats. Yeah. Because I think what this book was about, I think the antagonist of this book is actually Order. Because everything is telling them... everything is telling them to stay in the cities and defend and prepare to repel. And they are marching out on offensives because they want to police Sigmar. And I think this series might be the hubris of Order. Like, you know, they're trying to make Sigmar proud and go out on the offensive like he's been doing, and it might come back to bite them in the butt. I'm very excited to see other Order factions get involved. Me too. Right now, we've had a little bit of help from Alariel. Yeah, is Marathi going to help? Alariel, right. See, like, Alariel's like the sweetheart, right? She's going to help, right? Yeah. And honestly, even Fire Slayers are kind of like, at the end of the day, they're pretty much good guys. They're noble. They're noble, right? But what's going to happen when Deepkin and or Daughters get involved? And Daughters are kind of awesomely, like, Daughters were the last ones who stood with Stormcast to defeat Chaos. Like, it was really Daughters. But that was after they butchered a city and just took minor details though, right? But, like, I'm very interested in seeing, what happens when Marathi gets involved. What happens when
Deepkin, because they're scary too. Right? What
Yeah.
happens when some of the scarier Order factions?
Yeah,
get
that's what
involved?
I like about the way factions have been structured in Sigmar is Order doesn't necessarily mean good.
Yeah.
It just means that they have a centralized structure to their organization and they have a goal and a purpose that is uniquely theirs.
Which is sort of why it makes sense that death aligns, because that's pretty much a description of death as well. They just happen to all be dead.
Yep. Yeah, I'm very curious who the big bad guy is going to be.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to lean into, because we had the big destruction bad guy from the last sort of kickoff of 3rd edition.
Right.
Could be Chaos again. Could be other factions of Order.
Now, Big Pig hasn't come out yet, right?
Big Pig has not come out, so we're definitely getting more destruction.
So we think Big Pig is probably coming out. Maybe I would have to guess Big Pig's coming out in the next book.
Book 2 or 3, yeah. They showed it early enough, and we've not seen anything beyond that.
Do we know how many books there will be in this? Not really, huh?
No.
Broken Realms was what, 4? Teclis, Marathi, Kragnos, Archeon?
Was Archeon one?
Was Archeon one?
Then yeah, 4.
Well, actually, I don't know.
Wait, I don't know if Archeon
this was
was
before
one.
I played. I thought Archeon was one.
Marathi, Teclis,
Kragnos.
I think Alariel was one of the
Was
main
Alariel
books.
one?
I think one of the books
Okay.
was Alariel. There's about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I would imagine this being... I would say this could be 6.
Yeah.
Just given how much time we have left.
I'd like to see a lot. I'd like to see... I actually am excited for this. You know, I think that both 40K and Sigmar have wanted to be here. This is a really interesting place to be. Most of the books, except for our factions, except for 2, have had books.
Yep.
We are pretty sure the two are coming out soon. We think.
I think so, yeah.
They're in this really cool spot for a year where they can do interesting things. And I didn't really interact with the Broken Realms books, but I do feel like 40K. But I coming from a place of 40K and seeing this starting with the 7th edition. What was that one called? Where Abaddon came back and
I forget.
the Necron guy helped out and stuff. Anyway, kind of cool, but fell a little flat in terms of. I think that these fall flat in terms of rules often, and maybe that's okay. Maybe their purpose is really to focus on the advancing the story. Maybe it's hard to do both.
Yeah, I think they've been always reluctant or hesitant to put too many rules in them because, the rules are free for Sigmar, like for units. So War Scrolls are free, but also they don't want to have book bloat in Sigmar. They don't want to have you to if you want to play an army, you got to buy 1 book for your army and then this other narrative book that has like 4 War Scrolls in for you. You know, 40K got a lot of criticism for doing that, where you had to have like 3 books to run some factions. So I think they've always been very hesitant to put too many like rules in them and keep them more narrative and campaign focused, which I think is smart.
I think so too, but at the same time, I don't know. It'd be fun. I mean, I don't know. Like these have rules. Steve and I said we didn't want to talk about the rules so much. Briefly. Some of them are cool. Lots of them really seem to be like you would get them for maybe narrative play, or some of them I always talk about this level of play where maybe it's not top tier competitive, but it's good enough that you don't feel silly taking it.
Right.
Some of these don't even make it into that category.
No, some of them are just really odd.
I think the Nurgle guy is close to being acceptable to show up at a casual game and not have somebody look at you weird. He's close. And the model's so beautiful.
The model is unbelievable.
It's one of the coolest models. But
the rules, I don't know.
He's close. Maybe you're right.
I think all of these, the wording on them and how limiting they are is just so unnecessary.
It's not great.
The bell being once a game.
Yeah.
Even if that was an always on effect that's just permanently on, no questions asked the whole game, I'd still struggle with him being how many points he is.
Yeah. I think the Fire Slayers might have come out on top. Captain Mannerings brings up this thing. How many new characters heroes do you think Fire Slayers will get before they get a new unit of Nuke Wars?
I don't think they're ever going to do that ever
again. We just brought this up. And that's the thing I was saying. I don't know that you take this guy over a Grimwrath Berserker.
I can't believe they looked when they were like, okay, we're gonna have some dwarves feature in this story. That they looked at the range and went, do you know what these guys need? Another single dwarf man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to me that there is another on foot Fire Slayer guy.
No one.
Where's the baby Magmadroth cavalry?
Right.
Where's anything?
Where's anything? Where's somebody with a gun? Give me like a little cannon.
Yeah.
Give me like they have cannons. They have little cannons.
Give me some dwarves standing on each other's soldiers. Just something to mix it up.
But it is really not.
Another on foot dwarf with
really
2 weapons.
There he is.
Unbelievable.
He's really just more of the same.
If you put all of the on
No, you couldn't tell.
Fire Slayer models, I would
pro.
have, and you said one of these is called the Grimhold Exile, I'd be like, I have
clue.
no idea.
You need to be a pro. You need to be a serious Fire Slayer character to do that. Player to do that. Yeah, so, but I don't know, maybe that's okay. I'm not sure. I'd like to see more of the books before I'll reserve judgment. Now, we did say you brought up that actually the Regiments of Renown are actually somewhat interesting, some of them.
Yeah, I like them because they're open to the whole Grand Alliance, so I think they're interesting little takes.
Right, and I do think that the Fire Slayers one, it shuts down monsters contesting objectives.
Yep.
Is kind of compelling.
Yep. I can see KO taking that, honestly, that little...
Which is cool.
Regiment, yeah.
Which is cool.
Right? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think it might be interesting. Daughter. What unit is it?
It's I think it's one of each of the little 5s. So you get you get one. You get the Exile. You get
it's not that durable.
5 Auric Hearthguards, 5 Berserkers. Oh, you get 10. You get 10 Volkai. So you get 10 of the basic troop, and then 5 of the 2 elite troops.
It might not be bad in Daughters.
It's 20. It's like 21 bodies.
Yeah, a little more durability. I don't know. I think, other than that, I'm not sure any of them are super amazing. The Flesh Eater Quartz guy, I imagine Flesh Eater players are a little disappointed. He's such another. All these models are amazing.
The models are all beautiful. The models are fantastic.
But again, he gives fight last. He can sneak up and pass out fight last. Or
what I find surprising is none of them represent the way that they're all described in the stories, and that's the weirdest thing.
That's maybe the worst thing. Yeah, that's maybe the most
like
unfortunate
the standout moment of the Fire Slayer guy is that he slams his hammers together and does a big shockwave that does a bunch of damage. Nowhere.
No fight on death.
Nowhere.
No
nothing.
fight on death. No. And like the Grimmat Berserker has that. Like other things in the army already have that. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah. Same with the Bone guy. Like he doesn't do a lot, and outside of his one ability, he's a 5 wound, 5 attack dude.
He's not. You're not doing damage with him.
No.
Anyway,
and he's not a wizard, which is weird for a undead vampire hero.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's not a wizard at all is a bit strange.
I feel like you just give him one spell and he's maybe like
then I'd take him. Yeah.
Captain Mannings also says, "Are you saying my hobby horse isn't a real horse?" I'm actually not sure where that came from. We waited too long for that on Captain Mannings. I don't think I get it, but you're here, so let me know. Listen, speaking of story time with Steven.
Yes.
Which was amazing, by the way. More story time with Steven. We have another story from Steven today. More real life story. This one is Steven's big day out in America. And here he is. You were in an RTT.
I was.
You did an RTT Saturday.
I'd like to clarify at my local store that I've done about 10 of these things.
Yeah. This is just too good. Here he is with the winner of the RTT. I've actually met this guy before, Tad. He is in Central California. And I won't dox him beyond that, but what I will say is it's nice because I get to play him up here, and when I go to SoCal, I will get to see him in Old Town. I've played a game with him at BAO. No, actually, it was at SoCal last year in October, I think was when I played him. How was the RTT?
It was great. It was a really good event. They're every other month at Redwood City Game Castle.
Yep.
Matt and Tarek put them on.
Yep.
Always a good time.
Yeah.
We get a good crowd. It's a big show. But yeah, it was good. I played 3 really awesome games against 3 really fun opponents, Anthony, Michael, and Tad. I had a great time.
Anthony was
Head of Knights.
Okay, and
Michael was a Bone Reaper. So we had a Bone Reaper.
And Bone Reaper, okay.
Which was interesting because we had very different lists, so it was interesting to see the sort of back and forth and dynamic.
Yeah.
We did both have
Mortar card? Was he like big Mortar card?
No, he was 3 units of cavalry and then 2 units of the Morghast Archai, the flying guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good in the mirror because they shut down command abilities.
Yeah, they're
good.
they're like they're iffy, right? Like Bone Reapers players are kind of like on the fence on them.
Yeah, I don't like them, but
I know.
after this weekend, I'm kind of reevaluating them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the shutting down command abilities is super powerful.
They're interesting.
So yeah, and then I played Tad, who was using Gloomspite Gits. Kind of a soup Gloomspite Gits though. It wasn't like a straight Troglus like mine. Yeah, there you go. You can see it there.
Tad took this. He took first in this out of 20.
He did. And what's crazy is by the end of game 2 when we played, the margin of victory he was on was like 41.
I saw it.
I think the next person was me at 19.
I saw he had a big margin.
Yeah, he was doing incredibly. He was getting like max scores in all of his rounds, so he did super well.
I reached out to Tad and he gave me some notes. So I'll do a little bit of quoting here from him. On high level, he brought Trogs list because he loves Gits and wants to see how viable they were with the coherency changes. You brought this up.
Yeah.
With the 6 going to 6, because 6 now means you can spread out 6 Trogus across the board.
Yep.
Was he doing that?
No, but it just gives you more flexibility when you're moving them into position and piling in. You don't have to worry about that coherency. You can kind of squeeze them into different gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't spread them out.
This is a scary list to see 2 units of Troggeths at 6, and then to also see 10 Boingrot Bounders. Now he doesn't have quite all of what... Well, he does have the Madcap Shamans. He doesn't have quite all of the things that you normally see people use to buff one or the other, but he has... It looks like enough. The Scuttle Tide is super interesting. I forgot to ask him about that. I did ask him about the Spiders, and he says that they're there for exactly what he did with them to you, which is... And exactly what I've done with them before. You just run them right up and just stand in people's way.
Yep, just stop them getting to objectives.
Did the Spider Fang shooting do anything?
No.
Hitting on 4s, wing on 5s, no red.
I think they did 1 wound to the Immortus guards.
Okay.
Before the Immortus guard promptly picked them up.
But
they stopped them getting on the objective, like even a toe-in, so it was well worth doing.
Yep.
The Boingrot Bounders, super scary. I thought what was interesting here is he took the King Gits sub-faction rather than the Trog one that I take, because it gives you 2 rolls, or it gives you a re-roll when you're bringing units back, so it's more consistent. It's
not listed here. Obviously, he has the train piece.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the same thing, so I'm glad to see a super awesome really player like Tad confirming that I'm in the right direction. Nice to see.
What was wild about this game, and to be clear to everyone, I conceded at the end of turn 2 in this game, and I barely really played the turn 2. I did the key things that were the big deciders of it, and then I just conceded. A, because it was the end of the day and I was tired, but also I had such a bad turn 1, and Tad just completely dominated me. He didn't even use magic against me. He didn't get Merciless Blizzard off. He didn't get the Spider off. He just killed me with sheer brawn. Like, his army just packs an absolute punch, and I positioned myself in a way that allowed him to pull most of my units by his end of turn 2.
He says the MVP of his list is the Marsh Crawler.
The +1 to hit.
I hear people talking about this guy in all kinds of lists.
Yeah, it's the universal, the fact that it's in the Auric Warclans book. But its rule as written is all destruction get +1 to hit.
Super interesting.
It's incredibly powerful.
I'd like to see more things like that would encourage allying a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm actually tempted to get one and sort of put it in my put it in my list. Take a unit of Fellwaters out.
That's what he says. He says +1 to hit. Alright, keeps him hitting on 3s with Rock Guts even after the -1 to hits that I guess you were giving him.
Yeah.
And he's giving you, says the Fellwaters are no joke, giving you no save on a Mortis Guard. Pretty crazy, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you let a Mortis Guard save stack, they're going to be on a 1+ before Rend pretty comfortably without much work. And the Fellwater Vomit, if they get 1 damage through, just 1, you are then functionally at a 4+ save instead of a 1+, and you can't change it, which is a huge differential.
He says he's thinking this list is going to struggle versus Soulblight and Seraphon. I imagine he might also find against a diverse kind of standard Slaves to Darkness list too. What do you think?
I mean, I think everyone's weak to Seraphon right now. If people are taking the Croak Bomb, I don't think unless you're Null Myriad, I don't think there's ways to defend against it. It's just too much damage.
Yeah.
So I think that's valid. I don't think there's any avoiding that. Soulblight, though, I'm not sure, because I think the power of Soulblight rests in the unkillable the unkillable units and the hordes of stuff. And Gloomspite have answers to both of those. So, their mortal wound output can be quite good. You've got things like the spiders will absolutely wreck. Putting the spider wall and the spell in front of a unit of zombies is incredible. Just at slowing that unit down, allowing you to cherry pick it. Yeah, and then I think also buffing the Fellwaters up. Like, they're actually quite a choppy unit, and they've got a lot of attacks. I think they'll do work against hordes. And then, if you want to deal... My favourite way of dealing with a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon is to just... nick it his artifact, and then he isn't unrendable, and then the trolls go in and kill him. Because once he's unrendable, the Rot Guts will just kick his head in.
Once he's unrendable, he's much more vulnerable.
So, and I think and again, he's got 2 disposable wizards that have like Merciless Blizzard and Hoarfrost. So I don't know. I think against Soulblight, if people play it badly and they throw their Zombie Lord, which I see a lot of people with that army do,
we're learning this is
if you throw him in unsupported, I think the Gits have plenty of answers to just picking him up.
Exciting. I am excited. Tad, it would be he's here in chat. It'd be great to see him in at Old Town. Him in the Miscast crew. They're a crew, and they've got these. Here back to Steven's Big Day in America picture. They've got these purple jerseys.
Yeah, they had matching jerseys. They had little custom dice trays. It was all very professional.
Sometimes a crew shows up and you're like, I don't know about these guys, but these guys are great.
No, they were lovely. We chatted at the beginning of the day before they even started. I chatted to Tad and his father, who was playing Sons of Behemoth at the event. And they were both super lovely. We had a great chat.
Yeah.
I was excited to actually play him. I wasn't really thinking about how he'd absolutely destroyed his first 2 opponents when I got paired with him. I was like, I get to play Tad. He seems like a really fun guy. And then he proceeded to destroy me. But I had a great time regardless. So
I've told Steven this story before of this really nice guy I played at SoCal who was kicking my butt with Draconith Guard. And I only beat him because right at the end of the game, my stupid Bloodrack Viper ate 2 Draconith Guard. You roll 3 dice, and I got 2 6s.
That's amazing.
And just picked him up. And if it wasn't for that, he would have had me. But yeah, I don't. Hopefully, I see him at Old Town Throwdown, and he's probably going to be bracketed way ahead of me. So
I know. I'm sad I'm not going. Every time I hear about it or meet someone, they're like, "Oh, go Old Town Throwdown." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Can't wait to have the only Seraphon list at Old Town Throwdown with 0 wizards. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you get best sportsman, I think, immediately.
Yeah,
if you don't take really Wizard Seraphon, you just get best sportsman.
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
Yeah. Okay, we did it. You and I are going to play a game.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're going to play a game. We're doing, speaking of spiders, my spiders that I'm taking to Old Town Throwdown against your list that you just did pretty well with here.
Yep.
We've been wanting to see how this is gonna go.
You've been preaching the good word of the spider army for a
Yeah,
long time,
I
and I'm ready for you to put some money where your mouth is.
You know how much I hate playing against Bone Reapers, but I think this list, because it fundamentally doesn't engage with my opponent's army.
Yeah.
That's really the secret to Bone Reapers, is you just really don't want to interact with them at all.
But that's the thing, I'm also fine not interacting.
Yeah.
If we just move around the board, just doing our own things, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, we're occasionally going to be in the same place and have to figure it out, though. So, yeah, so we'll see. Awesome.
We didn't talk about my Meg's game from last week.
We didn't.
But now I feel like we've run out of time, so we should maybe save it.
We've run out of time. We'll save it. I didn't even put room space for it in here, but we should do that. We'll talk about both of these games next week if you can remember your games.
Yes.
Meg is definitely gonna want a rematch too. So
yes,
she likes to play against a new army that she has no idea what to do against. Just see what happens, and then from there she usually ramps.
And it was a fun game. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about that one.
Awesome. I think we did it.
Great, we did it.
Everybody, have a good week. We'll see you. Bye, guys.
Bye.